Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Laurie. Today's video, before we get started, what is this? Does anybody know what that is? I found it on the floor in a grocery store and I washed it when I got it home and put it in my art room because I pick up things that interest me and I bring them home. So I'll show you another piece that I've picked up on the street in a few minutes. But right now what I'm doing is gathering supplies for this video for you guys. We're making papers. This is the third video in the series. And so I wanted to go over a few things with you before we get started on the actual video while I gather supplies. I wanted to remind you of the Faith Journaling Collective Workshop that is about to start. You can still join for free. You will get 20 teachers, 10 on July 21st and 10 on July 22nd. Each day that the videos go live, you'll have 24 hours to watch the videos, and there are freebies that come with the freebie version. You can also upgrade to lifetime access and you get bonus videos. Click on the link below and you can sign up from there. There is also an early bird special being offered. It goes away on July 20th, so get in before that special goes away if you want to join and upgrade. It's been a lot of fun creating these videos, so I hope to see you there. Okay, the second thing is, if you'd like to keep up with what I'm creating, join my email list using the link below. You'll receive a free gift when you sign up. And the free gift for joining my email is different from any other free gift offering that I put out in workshops. So be sure and grab both, or however many workshops you do. Grab the free ones as you do that, because I don't put up the same freebie every time. The other thing I wanted to, there's the little car. I stole that off the road. Some poor kid's missing his car. It was there for 2 weeks in the rain before I picked it up, so just saying. Okay. Future freebies I want to talk to you about. I will also occasionally send out an additional freebie to my email subscribers, and the first bonus has already been sent. So if you are on my email list, you've gotten a link. Check the bottom of your emails for that link that I occasionally send out. It's not going to be every email, and I don't send out tons of emails except when something's going on. I'll send out an email about what's going on. But my current plan is to keep adding new gifts to the previous collection, so each link will include the earlier freebies. That may change in the future though, but for right now that's what I plan on doing. And if you're already subscribed, don't worry, you won't receive duplicate emails because the email system recognizes existing subscribers and stuff like that. And this paper making series that I'm doing, this is the last video for that, but I do plan to finish a few more of the papers that we've been working on. And once they're finished, I'm going to be sending that to my email subscriber list so they can see the process video on how I completed the papers. And that's going to be a free thank you for being part of my email community. Last thing is, I had a tooth pulled recently, so I may stumble over my words a little bit. I'm still healing. It's only been about a week and a half. And so it's in the back, but it's still annoying. I had a tooth crack. That was a thing. So anyway, and one more final announcement, a very important one I might add, is my squeaky chair has been fixed. I know some of you didn't want me to fix it, but it was driving me nuts. So it has been fixed. Okay, let's get started on the video. So the papers I'm going through are some of the papers that I've created in the last two videos with you, and some of the papers are papers I created previous to that. And I'm looking through to see if there's a couple I can use as a template, basically, because I want to put my jelly plate on top of them and then do some work on it. This turns out to be a I like it and I hate it situation. So as we go through the video, you'll see what happens. But I decided to put the big plate on the big flowers that are just drawn with pencil and gone over with clear gesso to keep the pencil in place. It's a black Stabilo pencil. And then I put two more smaller jelly plates on top of this paper that I created with paint and scraps and just leftover stuff and glued it all together. So I'm going to turn my drop paper over to where it's clear so you can see better. And I've got a Posca pen, and I start off using the 1M size, I think. And I'll put the supplies I use in the description below. But I decided I didn't like that size, and I went to the next size up, which I think is a 3. But I will link that below so you can see. And I'm just going to draw out the shape I see on the paper that's under my jelly plate. And you're not going to be able to line it up exactly because it's kind of an illusional thing. You know, you see the design, but you can't really trace on top of it because there's gel in between. But we're just going to go over it the best we can, and then I'm going to let that dry. And I'm going to be honest here. I've had this idea in my head that I love using the jelly plate. And there are occasions where I get a pull or a paper that I really like, and revives my interest in jelly plating or jelly printing. And then this one's done. You can see the lines I've drawn. I'm going to set that to the side, let it dry, and bring in the other one, and we're going to start drawing and painting. And one of the things about this you need to remember, and I always forget, and I forget right here, the little black dots that I'm painting, I should have put my pink dots on first and then put my black on, but I forgot. So details first. Always do your little details first. You want to build backwards, because if you don't, your print won't pull properly. This one doesn't pull properly anyway, but I don't want to ruin it for you. Wait till we get there and you can be disappointed with me too. Anyway, and then there's other times where I'm using the jelly plate and I just don't enjoy it that much. And I don't know, it's like a push-pull. I'll put the plate away and I won't use it for months, and then all of a sudden I'll get a spark of interest and I'll pull it out again, and then I have a good time doing it, but then I'm like, I don't really like doing this. I'm not going to do it anymore. I put it away. I don't know, do you guys go through that? It's just a love-hate relationship, I guess. I think I don't like cleaning up the plate, and I don't like when I screw up and I mess up and I leave paper on the plate, or because I'm not a pro at this. I don't know how to really use this thing. I just do what I want to do. I do what I think would be fun. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. And I haven't seen a whole lot of videos on jelly printing. I've seen some, but I don't know. I never seem to click with the video I'm watching, so I just remember little things here and there, and when I go to play with my plate, I just pull from whatever I remember and throw it all on there, and I hope for the best. So I'm just putting in details now. I'm filling in little circles on the plate. I've drawn circles with my Posca pen. I tried to cut out some of it that maybe wouldn't interest you as much because it is a little repetitive. But it looks really pretty like this, and I was really hoping that the pull would come out what my mind was envisioning. And it didn't so much, but this one here that I start to work on, it came out pretty good. There was a little flaw in it, but it worked in my favor for the next paper. It's kind of interesting. So, but all I did was wait for the Posca pen to dry so that when I start painting it wouldn't smear. And I'm just painting in all the colors with paint, acrylic paint. And then I go back with Posca pen and add a few more details in until I'm happy and satisfied, and then I will let that dry. After all my detail work is dry, I will take an acrylic paint and I'll take my brayer and I will put a thin coat over the top of all my detail work. And I just kind of gauge what I think, the thickness of the paint that I want. And then I'll put a piece of paper on it, and I set it to the side and let that dry a little bit. Sometimes I let it dry too long, sometimes I forget about it. I did that in this video too, you'll see that later. But I lay down paper on top of the paint that I just put down. And this paper that I'm using is paper that I get from church. We have an outline that we are given at church services, and so it's a really good way to reuse them. And I like the text that comes through in the background. I'm just taking off the back paper that was my template from the jelly plate now. And now we're going to pull the first print, and I'm going to go slow. I'm going to pull, and I slowed the video down. It's all in normal speed at first until we get to this part, and then when I pull it, I'll slow it down so you can see it better. But you can see that some of that print did not come up on that pink flower I'm showing you there. That's perfectly fine. I think it'll work great in the next paper. That was in my head anyway. So I like the way that paper turned out. It's really pretty. So we're going to put that to the side for a minute. And then I'm going to try to peel the other one. This is where everything falls apart and the wheels come off the rail. It's not pulling very well. In fact, most of it's still on the plate. It just doesn't look good. So I thought, well, I didn't put enough paint. So I'm putting another layer of paint, and I'm going to lay the paper back on top of it, and I'm going to set it to the side, and I'm going to see how that works out. In the meantime, I'm going to take the plate that we just pulled, and I'm going to put a layer of paint, and then I'm going to lay a piece of paper down and try to pull the rest of the print that didn't come up, the pink flower, pull the rest of that up. And this is on a plain piece of white paper. Now the paper I'm using, that makes a difference. I'm using cheap printer paper. That's why some of these didn't turn out good, because the paper is very thin and it sticks to the plate sometimes depending on what you're using and how long you leave it. But that's okay. I just wanted to make collage papers. This one turned out really good. Well, a little piece was left on the plate, but that's okay. But you can see that it pulled all the paint and the lines of the flowers that got left and the pink flower came up on that pull. So I like that. That's going to work in my favor. So we're going back to the other one, the one that's a troublemaker. First of all, I left it on there too long. So the bottom paper, that was my template, stuck, and I had to refix some of that. And so I'm pulling off the top paper because I'm like, okay, I'm done with this. But you can see thumbs down, I gave it a thumbs down, that the colors just didn't come off the way they should have, and I just didn't like it. But we will fix that. We will move on and do more of that later. I think that's going to be in the bonus video that I sent out to my email subscribers. Right here I'm showing you papers that are just scrap pieces left from cuts that I make, and I wanted to make a few more of those. I didn't do all of them. I just wanted to show you how I do them, how I make the ones that I just showed you. And I just take scraps of paper that are left over, and I'm gonna put paint down on my jelly plate, and then I have pieces that it came from my toolbox of mark making tools, and one of them is a deodorant cap, and another one is the top of a broken crock pot lid. And so I just made designs in the paint, and I'll just lay the strips down, and I will pull out my toolbox and you'll see a little bit of what's in there. I call it a toolbox. It's not really a toolbox, it's just a plastic box, but it's got mark making tools in it. And I just save everything. I save all kinds of weird things that you would throw away to use for mark making, and that's one of the fun parts I like about gel printing. See, there's my box, and there's a bunch of stuff in there, and I think I'm looking for something specific. I don't go through everything with you. Oh, there's my shaker marker. I think in a previous video I talk about that. This is part of a brush that fell apart. There's a bunch of combs in this brush, and that's one of the pieces. I pull that out. My little ring, I found that on the road and brought it home. I'm a collector of things. When I walk and find little things, I bring them home. And I found a really cool vintage looking pocket knife doing that. A vintage yellow color. It's really cool. That's a fork, plastic fork. I wind up using that and really liking that. And a toothbrush. It needs to be cleaned, but that's an old toothbrush. And what else am I going to pull out? Oh, the top of a perfume cap. Oh, that's just a lid, you pull it off of something like cottage cheese or something. It had little bumps on it, and it works okay, but it's not great. So I'm going to pull the papers off, and you can see the initial print with the designs on it. And it's pretty cool looking, but it's not done. We're going to do several layers. That's one of the keys to me getting what I like, is to keep layering. And the more I layer, the better I like it. And usually I wind up with several layers, and then suddenly I'm like, okay, I'm done. I like this. So I'm putting down another layer of paint, and I've just got a piece of old mail that's off to the side that I roll my brayer on to get the excess paint off on. And I'm doing toothbrush marks and comb marks and whatever I feel like picking up and making marks with on my gel plate. And while I just told you that I used copy paper on most of my pulls, that was for the big pieces. For these little pieces here, there are some copy print papers, but some of them are also mixed media papers. So let's see what that layer looks like. Yeah, I like that. As the second layer on these papers, I think that was a mixed media paper. And we're going to go another round. I'm going to put another layer of paint down. And then I'm going to make some more marks with something. I don't know what yet, I don't remember. I started to use my spatula, my broken spatula, but I changed my mind. That's the lid to the perfume bottle. That's the, I don't know what that came off of. It wasn't cottage cheese, but something. Anyway, the bumps on the paper was what attracted me, and that's why I kept it. But it's hard to see them now because I've mushed it down so much, but it still gives me a good shape. Now I'm using the fork. I like the fork. It makes good marks. And we're going to lay down the papers again, and we've pulled them up. Here's what they look like. It covered up quite a bit, but still you can see the layers through it. I like it. I think I come back later and add a little bit more to them, but for now we're going to move on to the next little segment. I'm going to do the other side of those papers, but I'm going to use some stencils this time. So I'm putting a layer of paint down, and then I'm going to lay a stencil down, and this is my favorite stencil. I just like using it because you can get big places and small places of paint. It wasn't so great for this first pull, but I was mainly wanting to get the paint removed from those areas. So you can see just a little bit came off. So then I just pick up the stencil and put it on a piece of paper and clean off any excess paint. I usually don't clean my stencils for quite a long time until they get really bad, and then I'll go and kind of give them a good clean. But I don't really like cleaning them, to be honest with you. So I'm going to put another layer of paint down. The stencil that I just pulled up, that paint has dried, and I'm putting a light coat of pink on top. And we're going to see how much of that I can pull, which pretty much pulled up all of it. I like it, but we need another layer, so we're going to put another layer of the light blue down. And then I will put something down. What will I put down? Oh, more marks. I like that little tool there. Came out of a shaker bottle. I'm going to put the papers down, and then we will see what comes up. Oh, I like that. Yeah, I remember now. When I do a voiceover, I remember when I see it, but sometimes I don't know what's coming because I'm not in the moment. The video's been made for a little while, and so that's what those papers turned out like, and that's what I'll do with all those scraps. So I'm going to look in my box, and I pulled out a chopstick. This is only one of two, so I'm taking black paint and I'm just painting black paint on my chopstick, and then I'm putting it down on the gel plate, and then I'm going to lay down those papers that we just did, a couple of sections of it, not the whole thing, just to see if the black marks look good. And I like it. And I think I do more later. I put some dots and things like that on it, but I don't think that part's in the video because it's just basically showing you how I added a little bit more of an accent color. You can keep adding layers. I could have gone on more, but I've got other papers that still, I haven't used that are different colors, so I kind of was trying to get a variety. The next paper I'm going to make is just two shades of blue, a light blue dot with a dark blue background, and then I think later on, not in the video, I make it the opposite way around. And the reason I wanted to make these papers is because there's a background on a video that my husband watches, and when the guy takes a radio break, a ad break, because he does radio podcast and puts it on YouTube too, he has a background that's a blue with dots, and I really like it, and so that's kind of where that came from. It's not exact, but it's, it resembles it, and I really just wanted to make that. So that's what I did, and this pull turned out really good. That paint that I put down, that blue, was a really good paint for pulling up. Some paints just pull up prints really well and clean the jelly plate practically for you, and some paints don't do as good a job. I know the metallic paints that I used do a really good job. Anytime I used metallic paint, it was like I can get everything off the plate. I don't know why, but it was cool. So now I'm going to do some leaves on my jelly plate. I've got two shades of green, and I'm just sponging them on with a makeup sponge, putting the colors down, and filling the plate with all the leaves. Okay, I've got my stenciling done. I'm going to pull the stencil up, and I want that to dry before I put my main coat of paint down, but while that's drying, I'm going to take my fork and some white paint, and I'm just going to put some marks in between the spaces of all the leaves. Now that that's done, I'm going to put some little dots of a coral color in between the spaces where I really couldn't get the fork to go very easily. And now I'm going to take my green, one of my favorite colors, and I'm going to put a light coat over the leaves, and then I'll put my copy paper down and I'll burnish it a little bit, and then I'm going to pull the print and see if everything comes up. And I think this pulled really well, except for one little section. It started to tear the paper, but it did a pretty good job actually. I go a little slower so that you can see the process better. If I didn't speed up some of these video areas, this video was 3.5 hours long. There's no way y'all would sit through a 3.5 hour long video. I'll be surprised if y'all watch the 46 minutes that it seems to be so far. Okay, I've got a manila folder now, and what I want to do is cut out my own stencils. I've done that a little bit in the past, and I enjoy it. I like making my own stamps and my own stencils because it gives a uniqueness to your own art. No one else has that exact stencil or stamp. They may have something similar because, everybody's inspired by everybody and everything, and so something may look similar, but it's my hand. I drew it, I stamped it, whatever, and it's just unique to my art. So I like doing that. So I'm going to use a manila folder to get this out. And I'm just showing you real quick. I go later and I make my design a little different. I'm just showing you that I take a pencil and I just draw out a similar design to what I want. It turns out a little bit different than this because I go off camera and I do some erasing and fixing. And then I take a X-Acto knife, and oh boy, believe me, it took a little while to do this because my hands don't do this kind of work as well as they used to. So it took a while, but it's worth it. So I just cut out my design, and now I've got a stencil that I can use, and I've got a negative space that I can use, like a mask. So I took I don't know what happened with part of the video, but that jelly plate has stuff left on it from something I must have done and cut out of the video. And so I just put down a layer of paint, and I'm pulling that up just to see what I can get off the plate. This is a cleanup, I guess, basically. And that's pretty cool. I like it. So now I'm going to put down another layer of paint, and then I'm going to try to use one of my stencils. And you can see the design's a little different now. And I'm going to go over some of the papers I've already done and start adding layers to the ones that didn't turn out very well or that need a little more something, and just start building layers on them. And I think that's really pretty. I like that. And now I can pull up the stencil, and I have the outline of the flowers left. I can try to pull that up if I want to, and I do try. You can see what I'm doing here. I'm just sort of mushing an old paper that's already got stuff on it. Paint. It's a cleanup paper. I clean up my brushes and stuff on papers just so I have them as backgrounds like this. And you can see that it came up, which is kind of cool. So that could be used for something. And this one, there's a light, I don't think that much came up. That's why I didn't show you. Maybe a light print, but not much. So now I put down another layer of paint, and I'm going to put down another piece of paper and see what pulls up from that. Because as you pull each layer, it just pulls up old stuff, and I love that. See, I love this. It pulled up the old print. That's so cool. So I'm going to put some more paint down, and I'm just going to keep doing this over and over and over until I'm happy. And I'm going to use my mask now, and it's on an old paper that's already been started, I think. Yeah. And I don't love that, but we can fix it. It might be one of the papers that I fix in the bonus video. I can't remember. But now I pull up my mask, and I put down the paper I just pulled, and I'm going to get really cool colors. I love those colors. And you can see the print vaguely. I think I point to it. No, I don't. But you can see the print of the mask on top of that. So it'll need some more. We'll keep going. Another layer of paint, and I'm going to try another mask. And I think I just want to leave the design on the plate, so I'm just putting papers down to get the extra paint around the mask up. I think that was my goal. So you can see that was kind of cool. And now I pull up the mask, and I think when that paint dries, I put down this color. And I don't remember what I put down. Oh, another mask. And what am I doing? Oh, I think I'm just trying to get the paint off again like I did just a minute ago, just to leave the design of the mask on there. Like I said, I don't remember until I get to it what I've done. Oh, that's kind of cool. Yeah, I remember doing that. That I didn't love so much, but it still isn't a lost cause. It can be finagled and fixed, and I think it'll work out fine. I loved what was left on the plate, so I'm going to try and pull that up on this pink paper. I don't remember if it came up or not. A little bit. You can see a little bit of the design. That's kind of cool. Okay, another layer of paint. And what's going to go down now? This is like new to me too. Oh, okay. I'll use my other mask, the same mask again. And I'm just trying to get the paint up to leave the mask's design. And this is a paper we've already played with. I should have showed you the paper, but I was going too fast, I guess. Okay, that fixed it a little bit. See, I'm pointing the design out. It's still, it kind of messed it up a little bit, kind of went the wrong direction, but it's fixable. And if I don't use all of the page for something, I can use portions of the page. So this is for collage. It's going to be cut up anyway. I love this background. And for those of you who might have noticed the Band-Aid that went on my finger shortly around the time that I was doing the cutting of the stencils, I did not cut myself with the X-Acto knife. That is a paper cut. I went to put something away and slid my hand across the top of one of my books and it just cut me. I'm just freehanding some leaves onto my jelly plate now. And I'm using the metallic paint that I told you about. It pulls really easily, so I like using the metallic for these pulls. But I'm going to put down a piece of paper on top of this, one that we've already been working on. And I think I pushed it a little further in the direction of I don't really love it, but it's still not a lost cause. It's still something that can be saved. You never know. Just keep adding layers and eventually the layers will make sense. See, I'm kind of like, maybe, maybe not. I think it can still be helped though. So I'm going to put down another layer of paint to pull up the rest of this metallic leaf. I didn't probably burnish it enough, or maybe I didn't let it dry enough. I don't know. I'm going to put down my, not my stencil, what's it called now? My mask. And I'm going to pull the paint around it, which is cool. Leaves me a white flower on my paper. And then I'm pulling that up. I'm going to put a little bit of paint down and I'm going to paint it into my stencil instead of painting the whole plate. I'm just putting it on the stencil itself because I wanted that flower color. So now I can put that down on my paper. And let's see what it looks like. Vaguely you can see it. I think when I was working on that paper I kept thinking, boy Laurie, the more you do the worse it gets. But I am determined to salvage it. If I didn't already in this video, which I don't remember, then I will in the one that I send out to my email list. At least I'll try. I'm going to paint my stencil again. This time I'm using the bigger flower and the little flower together, and I'm just painting them in with paint, with a paintbrush. And let's see what it looks like. Oh, I like that. Yeah, I remember liking that too. And there's a little bit of paint left on my plate, so that'll come up with the next pull probably. I'll put down some orange. I think this is a metallic paint also, or maybe it's a neon. It's probably a neon. I don't remember. It pulled really well though, so it must have been a metallic. So what I'm going to do now is take the papers that we've been playing with today and I'm going to look through them and find ones that I want to add a little bit to. Some of these are just cleanup papers where I cleaned off the brayer or my brush or whatever I was using, and some are pulls that didn't work out that great. This paper that I chose to start with is just a cleanup paper. I rolled my brayer across it to get rid of any excess paint while I was working on some of these papers. It may have been in this video, may have been in another video, but that's what that is. So I'm just going to take my stencils that I made and maybe the masks, and I'm going to add color and paint to the background. So as I'm working on these papers that we need to try to spruce up a little bit, I switch out between papers. So I might use this stencil for a little bit on this paper, and then maybe to clean off my sponge I will switch over to another paper and add some stenciling onto it and go back and forth as I build layers, just adding to and seeing what I get. So on this one I've got 3 of those stencils stenciled in. I'm looking through the papers and I'm picking out another one, and I picked out this orange one, and I'm going to take the same stencil, same paint that I pulled out and had on my palette there, and I'm just basically cleaning off my sponge onto another piece of paper and giving myself another layer. Then I switch back to the paper we started with, and I'm going to use the flower part of the stencil now, and I'm going to put more paint down and make another layer. And I don't clean my sponge. I rarely clean my sponge or my brush. I will clean it off by putting excess paint on papers, or I'll scrub it into my drop paper, but I don't water my brush down and clean it until I'm ready to clean it completely, and then I will dip it in water and I will do like a watercolor blending on my papers just to get rid of the paint, so I have all these different layers and colors and watered down effect, or solid acrylic effects. It's just a way I clean my brushes. I've said it in many videos, but you might be new and don't know, so I repeat myself a lot. Okay, so I'm going to do probably 3 on here. Knowing me, I like odd numbers, and this paper is shaping up to something I like, adding this flower in. It's very pretty to me. So there's 3 flowers added. I really like that a lot better. And now we're going to go back to the orange paper, and I'll show you these papers at the end so you get a better look. I tried to slow them down for most of the video, but I didn't slow that one down. And I'm just going to keep adding onto the paper as I go. Not much to say about that, really. I could tell you about my tooth, but y'all don't want to hear about my tooth. Have you noticed? No squeaking, no squeaky chair? If you've been with me a while, speak up. Tell me you don't hear my squeaking. That's important to me, that I didn't have a squeaky chair today. It just was the last nerve thing. It just was the last nerve. Maybe the tooth thing pushed me over the edge, and I was like, I've had enough. No more nothing. No, I've been meaning to get it fixed for a long time, and I just never think about it. You have to haul it downstairs to get it sprayed, and I didn't feel like hauling it, so my husband came up and got it for me, and we took it down there and we sprayed it. I like those. Those look pretty. I added a little stem onto the flower because the stem I made was short. Now I'm cutting out a circle from just a piece of mixed media paper, a little bit heavier paper, to make another stencil. And I'm adding little circles. It's an odd circle shape. And I thought that I might put the color across the top, just a blend of the color, but I didn't like it. So I was like, you can see my hands do that. And I just cut it off. And now it's gone, and it doesn't bother me anymore. And the piece I cut off, I threw over in the scraps. I will use that for something else. Here's another paper that I'm going to play with. And I've pulled out some tools from my mark making toolbox to use. That's a roller from the bottom of a cart that broke. That's that one tool you saw me use. That's for a seamstress to use for marking patterns in fabric. That's a die cut flower and butterfly. That I think came off a spool of ribbon, and I don't know what that is, some part to something, the piece, I don't know. And then a flower, like a fake flower, and it's been used a lot, so it's really mushed. And I'm just going to start putting down layers of color and marks just to get the paper more interesting to me to work on. So I'll mush that packaging down on the page a few times, usually 3 to 5, depending on how big the paper is and how much I like it. And then I'll pick up that flower, and I'm going to take the flower, and I'm going to take a makeup sponge and dip it in my acrylic paint, and I'm just going to slide it along the petals so that the paint gets in between each of the petals. It's a very small space, but it does get in enough, and I'm using it like a mask. I think it's cute. I think that's pretty that way. I also use it a different way in a few minutes, and when it gets to that point, I will tell you what I'm doing. You'll be able to see though. And I'll put a few of those flowers on here. Okay, I'm going to switch colors to a darker color purple now and add a few more. And I'm already liking this page better. Just with a few more colors and a few more layers, it's perking up to me. And I like that color added. It really makes it pop. So now I've got several of those on my paper. And I'm going to take the leftover paint on my paper plate there, and I'm just going to clean off the sponge onto my drop paper. The drop paper you see me working on, I'll use that in art later on. I love to work with my drop paper. Now I've got a red paint, and I'm going to paint the flower on top of the petals, and I'm going to flip it over and smush it down and see if I like that effect. I probably should have tested it first, but and it's okay. And I thought, well, maybe I'll try it again. So I put it down and I pushed it harder, and I like it. I like it a lot. A lot of the design of the flower shows up. So I've got the same flower used 2 different ways. So now I'm going to use the roller that came off of a cart that broke, like one of those plastic things. I think that's what that came from. I don't know why I didn't keep all the rollers, but probably because I can't keep everything. I don't have enough room to keep everything. But I'm going to take my palette paper, and I'm using it because it's a flat surface. My table's not really that flat. It's like old wood underneath, and so it's not as flat. But I'm going to roll that roller wheel across the paint, and then I'm going to start rolling it on my paper. And I liked it, so I'm going to do some more. I like to use the palette paper pad because it's flat and easy to scrape and roll things on. So now I'm deciding what to do next. I'm thinking I want to use those die cuts, the flowers and the butterflies, so I'm placing them on the paper to see where I want them. And then I'm going to take a paint color and I'm going to go around them. I'm going to use them as masks. I'm going to go around them. I'm going to start with this pink color. I'm cleaning off my brush over off to the side. That's as much cleaning of my sponge as I did. And now I'm going to try going around the butterfly, and I decide that I don't like it because it's just not bold enough, not bright enough, so I switch colors. So I change from the pink to what? A purple? Yeah, a purple. And I try that, and I like it better. So as soon as I get the butterfly done, I think I'll take a peek. Yeah. Okay, so then I'm going to go around all the pieces on my paper that way. Now we're on the last one. I'm filling in the rest of the space. Okay. So now I can remove all those masks, and it leaves me my little shape. And I really like it. It's cute. Oops, he's sticking. He didn't want to come up. I'm trying not to tear the paper. There we go. There, now you have a good look at it. A darker color worked better. It made the shapes pop out. So I slowed it down a little bit so you could have a better look. Okay, so then I'm going to take the sponge that I was using, and here we are cleaning. I'm just showing you how I clean off my sponge and make more shapes on my paper. So I do this all the time in my videos. You see it all the time. It makes great collage paper. I'm doing it on newsprint, and I like newsprint because it's very thin and it's easy to tear in collage. And so I just keep papers, a stack of newsprint on my table so that they're always handy. And I cleaned off my sponge a little bit more on another sheet of paper. Now I'm drying that real good. Now I'm going to spread out some white paint on my palette paper pad, and I'm going to use the tracing wheel. That's what that little tool's called. And I'm going to run it through the white paint, and I'm going to roll it on my paper, and it's going to leave those lines. I like the marks that this tool makes. I never used it in sewing, but I use it in my art all the time. I'll slow it down so you can see. Then I'll just roll the wheel on more paper, just use up the rest of the paint and clean off the wheel, and then I'll clean the wheel with a paper towel. So here I'm going to take some green paint and I'm going to spread it all over my palette paper pad. And the reason I'm doing this is because sometimes I can get a nice paint peel, like paint skins, and I thought I'd give it a try. So I put the paint down and I put a piece of paper on the pad and I burnished it a little bit, and then I set it to the side and I promptly forgot about it. So in a little bit you'll see what disaster came of that. So in the meantime, while I'm forgetting about that paper over there, I'm going to start going around my butterflies on this paper with a gel pen and some Posca pen. But before I get really started on it, I thought, oh, I want some centers in my flowers. So I just grabbed my circle shape, and all it is a spool of ribbon that I used up, and I just kept the circle part of it. I tore apart the spool and kept the top, and I'm just putting in some circles in my flowers. And then I'm going to go back to outlining my butterflies, and I start off with the white gel pen, and then I decide I'd rather have black first. I thought I would only do white because I remember thinking this, and then I decided no, I'm going to do black and then white. I prefer to do black first and then white, but sometimes I'll only do black or I'll only do white. And in this case, I changed my mind, so you see me doing both, but I switched over to just black and then doing white on top. And just go all the way around all of them, and I make them squiggly lined. I don't do them perfectly. I don't outline the shape perfectly because I don't want a perfect shape. I just want the illusion of the shape. And this is one of my favorite parts. I keep my hand very loose as I trace around so that my lines are very loose. And also, I started with a gel pen, a white gel pen, but I switched to a white Posca pen because I liked the way the Posca pen worked better on the paper. I think it's at this point I remembered the paper on the palette, and so I'm pulling it off, and you can see that it's just ripping apart. So I'm trying to use a little water on the back to help peel it up. Like I said earlier in the video, this is just a cheap printer paper. So it's not real strong sometimes, it sticks too much. It just depends on what you're doing. But I did get a decent pull, and I got a couple pieces off the palette that I just glued back onto the paper. I don't know what'll come with this paper. Maybe we will play with that in the bonus video. I don't know. I keep talking about the bonus video and what I might do, but I really don't know what I'm going to do till I sit down and the mood hits. So I went through this paper and I wrote a bunch of big words on it because I just wanted to add more. And now I have my little simple story plastic things you just saw a minute ago, showing how you can use a viewfinder to find areas of a paper that you like. And also I keep mats. I keep mats around of different sizes, and I still need to get a smaller one. I keep forgetting to do that. And I just like to move them around the page and see, maybe there's an area that I really like and I might frame the piece, or I might cut it out for something, but it's just a way I like to look at a whole picture, a whole page, and see if there's little areas that I like better than others and what I could do with smaller pieces. So this is one of the other papers that we created and we added to, and I'm just going around it with white Posca pen. I don't think I come back and do black. I won't know till we get a little further along, but I just added a little more accent to it, and it needs something else. It needs more, and I don't think I do it in this video, but I will come back to this paper and probably add a little bit more. So now I have a piece of paper in front of me that we've been playing with by cleaning up our gel plate and things like that, and I'm just taking a big marker, acrylic marker, and I'm adding some marks, and I'm going to lay the marker down in a minute because I decided not to finish this paper on camera because we're already a couple hours into the video at this point or more when I was making it, and I thought I will finish this one in the bonus video. So what I'm going to do is show you the papers we've played with. This is the drop paper that we've been cleaning up and wiping our stuff off with, and then I'm just going to go through these papers real quick. A lot of them were created during the first two videos. Some of them were already created and I used them as a template in the first or second or third video. I think the first three I showed you are ones like that. This is a paper that's already been made. These are ones that I actually need to do a little bit more to. That one I'll probably leave alone. And I'm going to show you the stack of cleanup papers and unfinished papers. The palette paper, that's a hot mess, but we can do something with it. And these are just papers that didn't turn out well or they need more work. That one there I really was disappointed in, but we'll do something to try to salvage it. I like that. It can be worked with. That's just a cleanup paper. We'll do something with that. And then an envelope that I just cleaned off my brayer. So we have some papers that we can use. They're already ready to go, and some that need a little help. This stack that I'm going to go through are some of the papers I know I definitely made in the first and second video. I need more black and white. I could not stick to black and white. I just kept deviating. So we're still going to make some black and white. These are the ones we did in this video. I didn't do any more. I did do some splotches on there, black splotches, but I didn't do any more to them. This one I'm going to do a little bit more to, and I'm just showing you this is the paper that the pink flower didn't come up and it worked on the other one. That one needs a little help, so I think I'll do some more work on that one. That one needs a little more work too. I think you can do more to all of these. It's just a matter of what you want to use them for, but I have enough now to work with that as I'm working on a project. If I need something, I can look through here and probably find something that is usable, whether the paper's finished or not. There's enough on here, but I don't know. I just like to keep adding and making things a little better. I kind of wish I hadn't put the writing on there, or maybe the lines, but like I said, when you break it down to smaller pieces, it works differently. So I could cut out the shapes. I might cut out the shapes and reuse them. This one definitely needs some help, and that one, and that one. So there's a lot to work with and some stuff that I can work with in the next video. So I hope you enjoyed playing along with me. These are the stencils that we made and the masks, and I made some hearts. You can see those are in there. Don't forget to check the links below for the email list for the free workshop, and then be on the lookout in your email for a link to the bonus video. And I don't know when that'll be, but it'll be as soon as I can get it done. I've got a lot going on right now, but I'll get to it when I can. I'll talk to you later. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.